smoke the cocaine, it becomes rock. So,
Good to go whenever you're ready.
oh, all right. Is this thing on? This camera? This camera? This camera? Well, we're coming off of a high. So, last time we filmed, I was at Jordan's gym and was encouraging. So, just goes to show there's a couple things that takeaways from that last workout. One thing is psychology is a huge component to this. And there's a few tricks that Jordan was applying while I was there. And one of them you saw was with using kilograms and versus just the pounds. It had, and this is something like I've known about with some power lifters where sometimes if you can get a partner to slowly kind of progressively overload, you can add a bit more weight sometimes just because you haven't already added up that weight. You haven't already you're not stuck on that specific amount of weight. It all feels heavy. I'm not gonna lie. When it's racked on your chest and it's anything over 200 pounds, it's just gonna feel heavy. And the more weight you put on there, it feels just like you're getting crushed. As you get that initial spark of power from your hips and you can incorporate your legs a little bit more and get it to lift and accelerate, the weight moves. That's the encouraging part. I'm less worried now about my strength as I'm just the technique. Let's get that technique sharp. Let's iron it out. This week, the plan is really not to go super intensive, not to press it with load, but more just touch on the movement, practice the movement, and then reinforce all the muscles in the supporting cast. So the pulling muscles, the rotation muscles, the core stability, and really the split leg support. So these are the things that I'm going to be working on and maybe taking some pause reps and some isometric holds, really about connectivity and focusing on control. So stability, control, and then hopefully I'll be nice and fresh and feeling strong to get after it again next week at a really high intensity. Most people have gone through this. They'll set a goal. They'll get underneath, especially if it's a weight goal, and they'll feel that weight, and it's humbling. And that's how I felt immediately starting out on this goal. Holding 315 in the rack was just, it felt close to impossible, but I wasn't deterred. I knew it was just going to be a matter of work, and so just trusting the process, as we always say. You just got to trust the process and put the work in. So this is a new little toy that I got. I have a few other mace bell options, and which are great. They're from On It. This one was sent to me, and this is from Bells of Steel. And what I like about it is it has a skinnier handle, and the lever to it's a bit longer. So it gives a totally different feel. This is plate loaded, but you can't tell really that you can unscrew this. And I've worked with some mace bells before that have tried this, and it's been clunky, and I start swinging it and it jumps a little bit because the actual engineering wasn't quite as good as this, I'll just be honest. So I'm actually pretty impressed. And anyway, so shout out to Mace of Steel. Is that what it's called again? Yeah. Bells of Steel. But we're going to go ahead and do some 360 swings to just get some. This is about 25 pounds, I believe. Normally I'd probably choke up if it was really heavy, because this is a bit longer lever than the other mace bells. But I think I could handle it. It's a good enough amount of weight to where I feel stimulates my muscles, but doesn't tax them too much. So that's kind of how I'm going to be picking the weight for this workout and the next one. Now we'll get a little bit more rotation here with our heart swings. Whoa! Creatine. Yet another thing the bodybuilders had right. And so convenient. Now, as you can see, I've adjusted my playlist so I don't get too ramped up. This is more bluesy, more rock and roll. It's about as soft rock as I can go. Although, I take that back. I do have a playlist out there that's a bit more like surf rock or like Sublime and what do they call it? I guess like West Coast kind of reggae rock, if you will. Yeah, we don't want to get too amped up because I am definitely a product of hearing music and getting inspired and wanting to kill things. So we're gonna calm down. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and do I think they call this a monkey hang, and we're gonna add it in a split stance so I can also simultaneously kind of work on hip flexor stability. So we'll add in a bit of that isometric contraction there, the hip flexor, and then some slight rotation with that. Ooh, this is just tall enough where it's almost a little too tall, but squeeze the hips, pull the stick down into the ground, then rotate just a little bit and back. So this is how we create that dynamic feel to the stretch while adding tension, pulling down, trying to pack my shoulder. One of those ironic things is what stopped me from pursuing more weight when I was lifting last week. My leg, my stability in my left leg and my quad was very crampy and shaky. And actually, I'm gonna do this whole workout without shoes. How about that? Boom. It's called an audible. Don't worry, I won't go all the way down to bare feet because ew. I don't have the cutest feet on the planet, I'll be honest. They're very sloth-esque. Okay. Pull down. Squeeze those hips forward. A little bit of a rotation. Yeah, two things. Really, it's my left side. Like, I'm like up to this point where everything's gotten stronger, but when you put that kind of pressure on everything, what stands out is my left shoulder is a little bit restricted, and it's the problem child. So I'm gonna have to get a little more external rotation work on my left side, which I'm gonna work on next. And you'll notice too, in the last workout, in between sets, I was pressing into the wall quite a bit because I already felt a lot of tension there. Like it was to the point where I was almost impinging. Well, our studio is all discombobulated right now because of our event that we had in here. So I got this big TV in my way, and I guess I could go over here in the corner, so I'll do that real quick. Normally I do this with two arms up, but I want to just focus on my left arm. It's actually quite comical, the faces you can make, something this simple, but it really is that difficult if you're really trying. So there's isolating the problematic one. Now we pull them together. I'm trying to press my body into the wall. You can see my left arm still has a ways to go. Oh, that should be so easy. So there you go. There's, if I could identify my two weak links in the chain, there they are. All right, we'll do another set of all those again here in a second. I always thought it'd be cool to have like a mace bell with welded spikes on it. Just swing it in the gym and see how many people would get scared. Because I mean, this isn't gonna hit me, but it would look really intimidating, and I'm into that. Look like a medieval barbarian, something to that. So, bells of steel, make it happen. I've seen some people make some crazy, huge, like Thor hammers, and there's some Instagram handles I follow where this guy takes like these enormous swords that are really wide and heavy and swings those around. So the concept is there, but I feel like, you know, let's just add to the existing bell and just make it super spiky and dangerous. That would be cool. All right, let's do 10 each side. Those really aren't that exhausting. If I were to add a time length to those and a lot of reps, you get some strength endurance component to it. Or if I were to do that with iron clubs as opposed to those, it loses a little bit of its value at that point. It becomes a different thing. So for me to use it as more of a dynamic way to add a little bit of resistance to rotation moves that is just a step above just intrinsic tension, like now I'm adding loaded tension, gives a different feel, and it helps to kind of build and reinforce that strength. And I need that to keep my shoulders in that ball and socket joint. So we're trying to realize that my left shoulder is a little bit misaligned. It's pulling, it's protracting a little bit too much. So we gotta really emphasize the retraction component of it, and then that rotational stability as well to keep it from really kind of getting out of that alignment, out of that sweet spot. Because this is the argument always, it's like we work with our morphology, so the levers that we're already born with, but there's optimal alignment in terms of distribution of stress. Now, I don't want that to centralize into one point. So if I'm too, if I'm just out of alignment enough in one direction, that's where my stress point is going to end. So if I'm not nice and balanced, the weakest point is where all that force is going to end up. So that's why when I go to stress test it and do overhead pressing, I will feel it here. It's going to all centralize in this left shoulder because of that little bit of misalignment. So now one thing I could pull from here, but I like having my palm over the top so I could really kind of pull and pack my shoulder down, which really the monkey hang itself, I would just sink into it by hinging my hips back and then pull down, so I could just work on that portion of it to pack that shoulder. Now I'm adding a split stance to really combo that with my hip flexor. That's an exercise in itself. Whew. Don't mind me, I'm just gonna hide in the corner. It's a funny thing. We had I don't know how many trainers in here just going through these basic tests that we do. It's always so enlightening because no matter how awesome we think we are and how sharp our movement is or how strong we are, there's just always something you can work on. And that's really the takeaway from how we structured these tests, like the wall tests. It's really just give you a tangible goal, some kind of feedback there to attain. So if I cannot hit these points of contact on the wall, I know there's work to be done. And there's been times where I could pretty easily externally rotate both arms while maintaining my head position here without flaring my ribs up, with pulling my core in and flattening my back, and all these things without any compensation. But those were under times where I wasn't pressing the body quite as extensively as I am through this series. So it's good to revisit it even when you think you're awesome at it. It's one of those things that's, even as a coach, you just got to constantly reevaluate, reassess with your clients, take them through these assessments again, so that way you'll go through these blocks of training. We want to see how that's affecting the body. Yes, you're getting strong in directions, but what is that doing to your support system, your stability, your how you're taking your body out of alignment? So I can already tell you, it's trying to take me a little bit out of alignment. Are you doing everything you can to optimize your body? Do I have the label upside down? Yes, I do. This is Promethean. This is one of the sponsors of this series, and they sent me 4 different bioregulators to help with recovery. And there's the muscle one, there's our blood vessel, there's our cartilage, and there's our bone marrow. And so in combination of 4, I'll take it before and then after the workouts. And you guys should really go check them out and try and optimize your efforts there in the gym as well. I'm promising myself not to get too intense. I gotta stay in the flow, so I'm just gonna work on control and stability. So Let's go light. I'm gonna do some walking lunge, I think, next. Better man, ain't no place for a hero. Go home. One of my favorite things to do is lunges without any shoes on. Splay them toes out, get that surface area, grab for that grip, control, and then we're gonna add little bits of rotation here with the kettlebell. Now, something I want to consider with this is try not to come forward as much. My upper body. This was another thing Jordan pointed out in my form. I had too much forward lean. Just took me out of the pocket. Still think that's probably one of the best pictures of us. We're in England. It's rare that Doug will get a good picture of me, I'm just gonna be honest. I don't know what it is. You know what it is? You have to catch me when I'm not expecting it. Otherwise, I make a lot of weird faces and look a lot like Jabba the Hutt, so that kind of happens. It's like a natural response for me. But I didn't have any training, so I didn't know I was going to be an influencer. That wasn't my goal in life. Maybe I'll work on it one of these days. Go to model school. We'll just take notes from Cole. I see him posing. Now, most of you like Green Day. I'd argue this band is way better. The Living End. Check them out. All right, let's do empty bar, work. So I'm also going to be trying to walk around my house a bit more with emphasis on my forefoot and my big toe, really placing pressure down into the ground. This is stable, this is not. So just that little bit can throw my whole weight in a negative direction. I don't want that. So that big toe is a huge component. It's that triangle of pressure from our tongue of the shoe, pinky toe, big toe. So forefoot wise, when I'm walking, I'm placing that pressure. I'm almost overemphasizing it for now, and then other work in between is the piano toes, where I'm spreading out my toes and I'm individually trying to articulate them. But I'm not going to sit here and do that for you because you're probably eating right now, and that'd just be rude. Won't mention that I had gangrene at one point. No, I'm just kidding. It's not that bad. It's bad. It's not that bad, but it's not good. I mean, to Adam's credit, as much as I make fun of him for getting a pedicure, probably wouldn't hurt, yeah. I know a lot of UFC fighters that did that, and I was like, really? They do that. So I kind of understand. You got to be barefoot all the time. Maybe you don't have to look like a Wolverine. I don't know. Okay, let's do this now with the lunge stance. Okay, the other thing he told me was to really slightly internally rotate the hip. I can feel that emphasis there in the big toe. We'll do one more set of that. That was good. Dig that big toe in. Good old empty bar reps. Good for the ego. I'm just working on the one side because literally that's where I'm carrying all the load. So if I continued to do this and train like this, I would be awesomely asymmetrical. So I'd have to consider that. But what I'm trying to do, I just want to be rock solid in this split stance with my left foot forward. You want to keep it down over there? Wanted to stabilize, a little abduction, wanted to come out. I'm gonna keep the emphasis of that really rotating in and abducting that knee and hips for stability. Retrain the brain so we're not trying to seek out stability with external rotation, but internal. All right, more reinforcement. Let's get some bent over rows, cable rows as well. I'm gonna double up on rows. Double up. Well, so two things happened over the weekend. My oldest qualified for nationals for gymnastics. So that was cool. 2 events, the double mini and then tumbling, and got first place, well, in one of them. And then there was, you can listen to the podcast to hear what happened with the other one. But really proud of him. And then my youngest tried out his first track and field meet and signed up to run the 100 and 200. And I mean, it was pretty terribly run event. So everything started late. Unfortunately, I didn't really get to watch, but I got to see the video. And first time, I didn't even know if he was decent at running. I've never seen him run full speed. And he just jumped right out of the gates ahead of everybody, and thought since he got such a big jump on everybody that he went too early. And so he looked back and was like, am I okay? And then everybody passed him and he got like 8th or something. But we'll see. Yeah, it'd be good for him. I'm stoked he's doing it. It was his idea, and it falls right in line with everything I've heard every world-class strength coach tell me is like gymnastics, you know, for general GPP, just to get that kind of proprioceptive ability to understand movement at a higher capacity and get more athletic. And then other team sports, work on running mechanics, jumping. He did basketball, then he did flag football. So started to introduce some team sports. But yeah, without him knowing it, I'm pretty much like trying to at least set them up for super athlete status, you know, subconsciously. I'm just placing these in front of them, hoping that it'll continue and enjoy athletics. That's the biggest thing. If he doesn't enjoy it, then it'll never stick. So my coaching brain, it wants to jump and dive all the way in. But I've learned through other wise dads and people around me to really kind of pull back and allow them to lead and pursue their own interests, and then I just reinforce those interests. So anyway, pretty cool. I'm glad he's doing it, and I hope he gets faster. Let's get some weight on the bar. This is probably not going to work. Is it high enough? Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if I can replicate the kind of energy and strength I had last week. I got a lot of sun because I worked out in Palm Desert, and I was just doing a little bit more hypertrophy, but still pressing and still hitting pretty much total body. But my stress levels were way lower, and I was in a lot more sun, and I got a lot more sleep. So those are pretty big factors. So I'm hoping this week I can get opportunities where, at least on the weekend especially, I can get plenty of sleep intentionally, and then get out in the sun, in the weather, so I can try my best to kind of repeat that process and then keep up. I've been eating a lot of protein, really haven't been overdoing it with sugar or just little bits of carbohydrates. Lots of rice, and I mean, the only thing that's killed me so far is like I get overconfident with sourdough bread sometimes and it bites me in the ass. But that reoccurring kind of acid reflux started to rear its head again, so I'm gonna have to probably cut that out completely, just stick with potato and rice. Fruits, up my fruits a bit, and just emphasize a lot more recovery this week. And then we're going to try and crush goal here, because I like to complete what I set out to do. That's a big thing. Lat pull downs and then face pulls. I'm gonna do those kneeling. Elevated and then depressed. This right here. Oh, it's a good little exercise in itself. And then secure that with my knees. I'll pull my chest to the bar. Elevate, depress. Is this thing on? All right, let's do one more set. Well, that's about as close to me not working out as I'm going to get. So you're welcome for that weak-ass workout. One more to come before I pressure the hinges again here. So got to keep that in mind so I don't feel like a total weak sauce. But you need a week like this in preparation to really have good output again. So recovery, gonna eat some good food, gonna get some sleep, gonna get some sun, and we're gonna attack it again full force next week. See you guys.